On a cold November night in 2006, Justine Absher, a vibrant 27-year-old kindergarten teacher at Emerald Hill Elementary, disappeared in a case that would soon grip the nation. Newly married, her life brimming with dreams and aspirations, Justine's sudden vanishing act sent ripples of shock and despair through her community. The mystery deepened when her husband, Eric Absher, made a frantic 911 call, reporting a hit-and-run on Taylorsville Road. Police found Eric cradling Justine's lifeless body, seemingly the victim of a tragic accident. But as the investigation unfolded, a tale more sinister emerged, unraveling a web of deception, betrayal, and hidden truths. What appeared as an unfortunate accident soon spiraled into a complex narrative of love gone wrong, revealing a story that would forever change the lives of those involved and leave the community grappling with the harsh reality of what really happened to Justine Absher. The investigation into Justine's death, initially deemed a hit-and-run, soon revealed a chilling plot, painting a picture far from the one Eric had desperately tried to sketch. Found cradling his wife's lifeless body on Taylorsville Road, Eric's portrayal of a tragic accident began to crumble under scrutiny. Contrary to Eric's frantic claims, Justine's car, a 2002 Ford Mustang, was discovered in perfect working condition, conspicuously distant from where her body was found. The vehicle, untouched and intact, lay in stark contrast to the grim scene where Justine's life had ended. Her injuries, brutal and extensive, spoke a different story, one that contradicted the narrative of a simple roadside accident. The case took a darker turn as authorities delved deeper. Justine, known for her radiant smile and gentle spirit, had become a shadow of her former self in the months leading up to her death. Her transformation was not just physical but also emotional, as she withdrew from friends and activities she once loved, raising silent alarms among those who knew her. As the police pieced together the events of that fateful night, Eric's version began to unravel. His account of receiving a call from Justine about her car breaking down was fraught with inconsistencies. Why would Justine, known to be afraid of the dark and afraid of her own shadow, venture out alone at night and leave her belongings in the car? These questions gnawed at the investigators as they tried to make sense of the tragedy. The discovery that Justine's body was found 600 feet away from her car, which contained her purse, coat, and keys, deepened the mystery. This peculiar detail suggested that she had walked away from her vehicle, an unlikely scenario given her known fears and the fact that she had called Eric for help. Eric's behavior in the aftermath of Justine's death only added to the suspicions. Just 2 days after her memorial service, a significant revelation emerged. Heidi, Justine's mother, encountered a compassionate restaurant employee who, upon hearing Heidi's story, revealed a startling truth. Justine had not died in a hit-and-run but had been murdered, with suspicion falling heavily on Eric. The police's skepticism of Eric's story was compounded by the nature of Justine's injuries. She had suffered 113 blunt trauma injuries, including multiple broken bones, lacerated organs, and 23 head wounds. The absence of blood on the road where her body lay contradicted the theory of a roadside accident. As the case unfolded, the prosecution presented a harrowing narrative. Justine was killed at a different location and then placed on the road to stage a hit-and-run. This act, they argued, was part of Eric's calculated plan to secure a significant insurance payout, a theory supported by the $1.5 million insurance policy he stood to gain. The trial, a spectacle that gripped the heart of the community, laid bare the intricate web of deceit woven by Eric. Prosecutors painted a picture of a man driven by greed and a sinister desire to rid himself of a marriage that had become a burden. The once beloved kindergarten teacher, Justine, was portrayed as the unsuspecting victim of a calculated murder plot. Forensic evidence played a crucial role in dismantling Eric's fabricated story. Tire tracks near Justine's body did not match her car, and no evidence of a collision was found on the road. The medical examiner's testimony was damning. Justine's injuries were inconsistent with a hit-and-run. They were deliberate, severe, and inflicted with a brutality that sent shivers down the spines of those in the courtroom. Witnesses, including those close to Justine, recounted her growing unease in the months leading to her death. Friends spoke of her fear, her sudden withdrawal from social gatherings, and her uncharacteristic hesitance to speak about her home life. The portrait of Eric that emerged was not that of a grieving husband, but of a controlling, manipulative individual with a history of troubled relationships. The prosecution's most compelling argument revolved around the insurance policy. Just weeks before her death, Justine had signed a $1.5 million life insurance policy, with Eric as the sole beneficiary. This, coupled with Eric's rush to claim the insurance money mere days after her funeral, painted a grim picture of his motives. The defense's attempts to counter the overwhelming evidence proved futile. Eric's lack of emotion, his inconsistent stories, and his seemingly calculated moves in the days following Justine's death only strengthened the case against him. In a dramatic conclusion to the trial, the jury returned with a guilty verdict. Eric was convicted of first-degree murder, a decision that brought a sense of closure to Justine's family but could never bring back their beloved daughter and sister. The case of Justine Absher serves as a tragic reminder of the hidden dangers of domestic violence and the masks people wear. Her story, though ending in tragedy, sparked conversations about the importance of recognizing and addressing the signs of domestic abuse. Justine, in her life and even in her death, became a symbol of strength and a wake-up call to a community that would never forget her. The relationship between Justine and Eric Absher, once the epitome of a loving union, slowly unraveled a disturbing tale of fear, control, and deep-seated manipulation. To the outside world, their marriage was a portrait of happiness, but beneath the surface lurked a reality far grimmer. Justine, known for her infectious kindness and warmth, had become a shadow of herself in the months preceding her tragic end. Her usual bright demeanor gave way to a withdrawn and isolated existence, a change that did not go unnoticed by her family and friends. The vibrant, energetic kindergarten teacher at Emerald Hill Elementary, who once lit up the room with her smile, seemed to fade away, leaving a palpable sense of unease among those who knew her best. Friends recalled instances where Justine seemed unusually quiet, her eyes often swollen, as if from crying. She brushed off their concerns, attributing her appearance to allergies. But the truth was far more concerning. Justine, once the life of any gathering, now shied away from social events, declining invitations that she would have previously leaped at. The transformation was not just in her social life, but also in her appearance. The once impeccably dressed and vibrant Justine now wore clothes that seemed to mask her personality, a physical manifestation of the emotional turmoil she was undergoing. The relationship's dynamics were further revealed through little snippets of conversations, fleeting expressions of fear, and subtle hints of distress. Justine's once sparkling eyes now held a hint of fear, a sign that something was amiss. Her conversations, once filled with dreams and aspirations, were now guarded, often deflecting personal questions with a forced smile. Eric's control over Justine became increasingly evident. Colleagues and friends noticed how Justine constantly checked her phone, as if seeking approval for every small decision. The once independent and strong-willed woman seemed to be under the invisible yet firm grip of her husband's demands. The couple's interactions, when observed closely, were far from the loving exchanges one would expect. Eric's tone often bordered on condescendence, his words laced with a subtle yet unmistakable control. His presence seemed to cast a shadow over Justine, her usual cheerfulness dampening in his company. Justine's family, once an integral part of her life, found themselves gradually pushed to the periphery. Her parents and sister, who used to be her confidants, now struggled to understand the change in her. The vibrant, bubbly daughter and sister they knew was now a distant, reserved figure, often lost in thought and visibly tensed at the mention of Eric or home. The unraveling of their relationship was a gradual process, each layer revealing a more unsettling aspect of their life together. Justine's reluctance to discuss her personal life, her uncharacteristic withdrawal from family gatherings, and her diminishing joy painted a picture of a woman trapped in a situation she could neither understand nor escape. As the investigation into her death progressed, the true nature of their relationship came into sharper focus. The love and affection that once defined their bond had been replaced by fear and dominance. Eric's image as the devoted husband began to crumble, revealing a manipulative and controlling individual who had a significant hold over Justine's life. The tragedy of Justine's death brought to light the often hidden reality of domestic abuse. Her story is a harrowing reminder of the fine line between love and control and the devastating consequences when that line is crossed. In the end, Justine's tale is not just a story of a relationship gone wrong, but a stark warning of the dangers that can lurk behind closed doors, often unnoticed until it's too late. The trial of Eric Absher for the murder of his wife, Justine, was a harrowing exposition of deceit, manipulation, and cold-blooded murder. As the court proceedings unfolded, each testimony painted a darker picture of Eric, far from the grieving husband he had portrayed himself to be. Witnesses, including those closest to Justine, her family, friends, and Eric's ex-partner, stepped forward, unraveling the facade of a man driven by financial gain and a deep-seated desire to end his marriage. The prosecution meticulously pieced together the events leading up to Justine's death, suggesting a meticulously planned murder, staged as a tragic accident to claim a significant insurance payout. Justine's family bore the brunt of the emotional ordeal, recounting the transformation they witnessed in her. Once a vibrant and independent woman, Justine had become increasingly isolated, a shadow of her former self. Her parents and sister, struggling to hold back tears, shared their observations of the escalating control and fear that Eric exerted over Justine. The most damning evidence came from Eric's ex-partner, who shed light on his history of manipulative behavior. She recounted instances of Eric's controlling nature, further substantiating the prosecution's portrayal of him as a man capable of extreme deceit and cruelty. The courtroom was riveted as the prosecution argued that Justine had been killed at a location other than where her body was found. They presented forensic evidence contradicting the hit-and-run scenario. Justine's car, found in perfect working condition miles away from her body, and the lack of skid marks or debris at the scene, pointed to a staged accident. The prosecution delved into the financial aspect of the case, revealing that Justine had recently signed a $1.5 million life insurance policy, naming Eric as the sole beneficiary. This, coupled with Eric's rush to claim the insurance money shortly after Justine's death, painted a grim picture of his motives. To add to the mounting evidence, the court heard from medical experts who challenged the notion that Justine's injuries were consistent with a vehicular accident. The severity and pattern of her injuries suggested a more sinister cause of death, aligning with the prosecution's theory that Justine was killed elsewhere and then placed on the road to simulate a hit-and-run. The trial was a mixture of raw emotion and shocking revelations, as witness after witness contributed pieces to the puzzle of Justine's tragic demise. Each testimony, each piece of evidence, peeled back layers of the life Justine and Eric shared, revealing a disturbing truth beneath the surface of their seemingly happy marriage. As the trial progressed, the courtroom atmosphere grew heavier with the weight of the evidence presented. The prosecution's narrative depicted a premeditated murder, a chilling betrayal of trust, and a ruthless pursuit of financial gain at the cost of a human life. The defense's attempts to counter the overwhelming evidence seemed increasingly feeble against the stark reality of the situation. The trial of Eric Absher was not just a legal proceeding, it was a stark reminder of the darkest aspects of human nature. It laid bare the reality of domestic violence and the lengths to which some will go to conceal their true intentions. The revelations that emerged shook the community to its core, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts and minds of all who followed the case. The verdict in Eric Absher's trial for the murder of Justine Absher marked a poignant moment in a case that had captivated and horrified the community. After a harrowing trial filled with shocking revelations and emotional testimonies, the jury found Eric guilty of first-degree murder. This decision, while bringing a sense of justice, could not undo the tragedy of Justine's untimely death. Justine's family, who had endured the agony of losing their beloved daughter and sister in such a heinous manner, found a semblance of closure in the verdict. Their relentless fight for justice, through tears and heartache, highlighted a tragic story of domestic violence and manipulation that had been hidden behind closed doors. The community, which had known Justine as a kind and dedicated kindergarten teacher, was left to grapple with the brutal reality of her death. The trial had exposed not just the evil that Eric had perpetrated, but also the often overlooked signs of domestic abuse. Justine's transformation from a vibrant, outgoing individual to a withdrawn, isolated person now stood as a stark warning to others. In the wake of the trial, conversations about domestic violence and its insidious nature resonated throughout the community. Justine's story became a catalyst for awareness, urging people to recognize and intervene in situations of domestic abuse before it's too late. Her life and death served as a powerful reminder of the importance of being vigilant and supportive of those who may be suffering in silence. The aftermath of the trial also saw an outpouring of support for Justine's family. Vigils were held, and memorials were set up at Emerald Hill Elementary, where Justine had touched the lives of so many children. Her colleagues and students remembered her as a beacon of light and love, and her absence left a void that could never be filled. Justine's family, in their grief, became advocates for victims of domestic violence. They worked to ensure that Justine's legacy would be one of hope and change, not just a reminder of a life tragically cut short. They spoke at events, sharing Justine's story to educate others about the dangers of domestic abuse and the importance of seeking help. Eric's conviction also raised questions about the criminal justice system and its handling of domestic violence cases. The length of time it took to bring the case to trial was a source of frustration and pain for Justine's family and supporters. The case underscored the need for more resources and a better understanding of domestic violence within the legal system. As Justine's family and friends mourned her loss, they also celebrated her life. They remembered her as a woman full of love, joy, and ambition, whose life was not defined by how she died, but by the impact she had on those around her. Justine's story, though ending in tragedy, became a symbol of resilience and the enduring strength of the human spirit. The verdict and its aftermath were more than the conclusion of a trial. They were a call to action, a reminder of the work still needed to combat domestic violence, and a tribute to Justine's memory. Her spirit continued to inspire and empower, even in death, as the community and her loved ones strive to create a world where such tragedies are a thing of the past. Justine Absher's story, heartbreakingly encapsulated in the trial and its aftermath, serves as a harrowing reminder of the hidden horrors of domestic abuse. Her tragic tale, ending in a senseless act of violence, resonates deeply within the hearts of those who knew her and beyond, as a beacon of kindness overshadowed by a devastating tragedy. The community, once vibrant with Justine's presence, now mourned the loss of a beloved teacher, a cherished friend, and a valued member. The streets of Culpeper, Virginia, echoed with her memory as people grappled with the profound questions her death raised about the masks people wear and the secrets they hide. Justine's family, in their relentless pursuit of justice, became beacons of strength and resilience. Their unwavering resolve not only honored Justine's memory, but also brought to light the often ignored issue of domestic violence. They turned their grief into action, advocating for more robust support systems for victims and increased awareness about the signs of abuse. In the schools where Justine once taught, her legacy lived on. Teachers and students remembered her as an inspiration, a guiding light who had once brought joy and learning to countless young lives. Her empty classroom became a solemn reminder of the impact one life can have and the void left behind when it is unjustly taken. The case also sparked a broader conversation about domestic violence within the community. Local organizations stepped up their efforts, organizing workshops and providing resources to help identify and support those in similar situations. Justine's story became a catalyst for change, driving home the message that domestic violence can happen to anyone and that it's crucial to recognize and respond to the warning signs. The trial and its revelations also prompted introspection among law enforcement and judicial systems. The complexities and challenges in handling cases of domestic abuse came to the forefront, highlighting the need for specialized training and resources to effectively address such situations. Justine's family found some solace in the guilty verdict, but it was a bittersweet victory. While justice was served, it could not bring back the vibrant, loving woman they had lost. They vowed to keep her memory alive, not as a victim of a tragic story, but as a symbol of hope, a reminder of the need for kindness and vigilance in the face of adversity. In the end, Justine's story transcends the boundaries of a single case. It stands as a poignant reminder of the often overlooked struggles within seemingly perfect lives. It challenges us to look beyond the surface, to offer support to those who might be suffering in silence, and to always remember the preciousness of life. Her legacy continues to inspire and motivate those who knew her and those who learned of her story. In her memory, a community united in grief found the resolve to strive for a better, more compassionate world, where the horrors of domestic abuse are no longer hidden, but openly confronted and eradicated.